What's up, guys? Grab that coffee out. This is the AMZ Secret Show and your host, David Aladdin. I've built the show to jump past the basics and into the real Amazon core. I look to understand the person, their strategies, secrets, so that all of us can build better businesses together. Today's sponsor is AMZ Secrets VIP, which is the platform of secrets and strategies and tools, including the recently launched Product Hunter. AMZ Secrets guarantees at least a 2x in business revenue or your money back. And I've personally already Forexed my business, and many others have too. Today, we've got a special guest on the show. His name is Brian Burt, who sells over 6 figures a month, as well as runs other businesses as well. Thanks for coming on the show, Brian. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, Dave, thank you so much for having me on, man. It's an honor. I've just recently started listening to your podcast, and it's like super high quality, dude. So
Thanks.
Nice to be on. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So it's a long storied beginning, so I'll give you kind of the nutshell version.
Oh, we'll take the long story if you got one.
Oh, man. So I was born in a small village in eastern Ukraine. No, okay. So
What's your mom?
Basically, I started the entrepreneurial journey from birth. I call myself technically unemployable. I've had a few jobs, never able to keep them. So really, I was only relegated to one option, which is building my own businesses, which, is a blessing and a curse, right? Because, a lot of the times when you're an entrepreneur and you're doing it on your own, it can seem like an insurmountable mountain. And that's kind of what it was for me for the first, I'd say, 10 years in business. So I'm 35 now. I really got going as an entrepreneur when I was 19, but I started marketing online around 25, 26. So technically, I've been an internet marketer for about 10 years. I have a background in paid advertising, a really strong background in search engine optimization or SEO, as well as info products. I actually got in through an MLM scheme, which lasted all of about a month, but I was happy to get in, and I was happy, to me, it just blew my mind that you could, and that was back in 2005, right? So it doesn't seem like that long ago, but that's hundreds of years ago in terms of, marketing, internet marketing years, right? It's like dog years.
Everything could change in 1 year. That's the thing with the internet.
Oh man, it changes in a month. But long story long here. I fast forward to about a year ago, and up to that point, I was only working in pay-per lead and SEO, and they were all services, or I was marketing essentially services. Up to that point, I had the agency out here in Chicago, 15 people, 2,500 square foot, really nice office. And I looked around, and most of us we were Skyping each other. I mean, I was 5 feet from my assistant or my CMO, and we were just Skyping to each other. And I said, this office is really cool, but clients never come in. Let's get the heck out of here. Let's all work from home. Let's communicate via Skype. And maybe, get together once a week just to have, weekly, we call them Mondays. So Monday morning meetings where you set the schedule and you kind of, set the foundation for the success for the week. And it's been great since then. So we get more productivity out of our employees. I was able to actually reduce the size of my team down to 3, which I love that. If I could do it all on my own, I would, but I hard lesson learned. No man is an island. No man or woman is an island. You need people to help. And then about a year ago, I found Amazon. It was the first time I had transitioned from working in service-based marketing to physical products. And I had kind of secretly to my wife and friends always said, I will never get into e-commerce. I don't want to hold inventory. I don't want to be the guy dealing with the returns. I don't want to do any of that. That sounds like a nightmare. And then I heard about FBA where they do, fulfillment by Amazon. They do all of that for you. So that was kind of a revelatory moment for me where the eureka moment, right? The light bulb goes on. You go, dude, I'm going to do this. And I got obsessed, literally obsessed. I mean, anyone that knows me knows that if I find something I dig in. And I really did with Amazon. And so to this point, I've got, 3 brands on Amazon, doing about 150 a month and growing extremely rapidly. My goal, as some of your listeners may have heard me say on other podcasts, is $1 million a month, and I put that up publicly, somewhat as an accountability factor. And it's been really fun. So we've got a lot of things going on behind the scenes. I just got through a big launch for Sponsored Products Academy with Brian Johnson.
Cool.
That went very, very well. We closed the doors yesterday and took in, hundreds and hundreds of people into that course.
Very cool.
And it's just been a great ride, man. I'm really just trying to absorb as much as I can and get as many SKUs out there as possible.
Your background is actually, it's very similar to mine, except you kind of went all out with the 15 to 25 people in your agency. But I totally get it. I was actually trying to stay away from e-commerce completely, in the sense of physical products, just because of the inventory that you don't want to manage. But actually, like right when you get into this type of business, you can see like all the opportunities and the differences between doing services per client, because that gets very frustrating, especially if the client's very hard to work with, and usually you can't fully anticipate all the demands that they might have and scope creep and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
So,
I think one of my students who has subsequently turned into a partner in one of my businesses, she's phenomenal, and she calls clients another word for unreasonable boss.
oh man, I'm telling you, like, because they hold the keys to like your business.
Right.
The second like a client project goes wrong, you can't just like, hey, we're not going to work with you anymore, because their reviews will start to be published online. Kind of learn that the hard way, and then you have to fix it by just doing a good job and improving.
I think that's true of just about anything nowadays, though, because reviews, especially with Amazon, I know everyone listening can agree with that, but it's just, we live in an age where transparency is so important. Being a man of your word or a woman of your word is more than any time, any period in history. It's more integral to your success now than I think it has ever been. You mess up just a little bit and everybody knows about it. It's too easy to, it used to be word of mouth, right? You could tell your friends or your circle of influence, oh, don't go use that hardware store down the road. They're no good. They sold me a bad shovel, right? But now it's word of mouth, where if you publish something on the interwebs, right, everybody knows about it right away. And so keeping your reputation, pristine is super important, as well as, your products on Amazon. So on Amazon, we fight really hard to keep our product listings clean and avoid those negative reviews as well.
I've said in my previous podcasts that people with like an SEO and marketing background and a web services business, I believe they have like an inherent significant advantage coming into the Amazon thing, because they can do everything from A to Z. And it's not like A to Z. Was that A to Z file? That wasn't on purpose.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, you can tweak your product photos on the fly whenever you need to. You create your product listings with SEO in mind. You don't even just list your product. You actually do it from a search engine probably perspective.
Right.
Just from the start, and you don't have to.
On a lot of my webinars, I agree. I think you do have a SEO out there and you're listening right now, and you want to jump in or you're in, you do have a very distinct advantage over a lot of the competition, because you understand what an algorithm is. You mentioned you have a background in SEO as well.
Yeah, I didn't offer specific SEO services just because, I felt like the search engines were just constantly changing, and that people expected like a top rank of page one, or position one, page one forever. And I felt that once they lost that position, they'd come back to me and start complaining. So I didn't want to.
It happens all the time.
Yeah,
it happens all the time, and that's a big part of why I don't do it any longer.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I've said this before. Amazon, the algorithm right now is a lot like the algorithm when I first jumped into search engine optimization with Google in 2005. And every move, I can't say 1-to-1, but 1 to 1.1 maybe, has been very similar to the growth that I saw inside of Google's algorithm. So Amazon's algorithm is very much, their A9 algorithm is very much reflective of the Google algorithm. Now, Google along the line, I remember one day in 2013, I think it was October 5th, 2013, where they threw out their entire algorithm and rebuilt it from the ground up. Barring that happening with Amazon, they called it the Panda 2.1 update,
Yep.
but it was really just a huge rebuild. Barring that happening with Amazon, almost everything is mimicking the Google growth. And why wouldn't it, right? Google's already paved the path. They're very successful. It's a fantastic self-learning, AI algorithm. And I think Amazon will get there too. And for everyone thinking, oh shit, I don't know what he's talking about. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on your or your podcast.
No, it's completely fine.
But sorry, it just comes out. But if people are out there thinking, I don't know SEO, I don't know algorithms, et cetera, et cetera. I think that Amazon's algorithm needs to improve. I think it should improve. I think that because it's still a bit of it in its infancy, I think there's still some unfairness happening. It's really quite easy to game the algorithm. I mean, how many of your competitors do you know that are buying reviews that every single review is, 3 sentences that are pretty much sound the same?
I try not to look at my competitors' reviews as much as just focus on, because like the growth of my particular Amazon business it's increasing very fast. So I just don't even have time to focus on the type of reviews that other people are doing on other. I guess I look at the number more importantly than the actual reviews that they're getting, because I like to kind of have more reviews.
Well, I think it's important to keep up on competitors. The way I used to look at SEO is the first page of Google is a battlefield. Same thing now. That same mentality, and I'm a Sherman tank. So the same mentality, right? You hit the first page of Amazon, and it's a full-on war with your competition. And I mean that in a friendly way. I'm not any black hat. That's the one thing I've learned from being an SEO in Google was black hat techniques will eventually get you slapped. They may work temporarily, but if you're looking to build a long-term business, which I am, and I know you are, black hat techniques do not work. But if you can be honest and you can be extremely aggressive on the first page of Amazon, I think you'll win. And part of that for us, and with my small team now, what we do is we constantly monitor our competitors' reviews. So, we're not obsessed over them. We don't waste a lot of time on it, but we will every now and then go in and take a look. Maybe there's a development happening. I think what's important, kind of zooming out here a little bit, what's important to understand is that you're not marketing a product. And this is a real kind of a paradigm shift that I had that has made it's the reason for quite a bit of my success. You're marketing to a market. So you're creating a market, or you are advertising to a market. So once you start to understand that, you start to look around a little bit more and you say, okay, where am I? What house am I in here? What do the walls look like? What's the art that's hung on the walls? That means, monitor reviews, see if there's any changes. A few of my first products were super hot to try products. They were super fads. In fact, they were so much of a fad that I jumped in. There were about 20 people a year ago. Now there's over 200 people selling the same exact product. And in fact, some of the major courses like ASM used my product as an example in the course.
Did they knowingly do that?
Not knowingly.
That's good.
No, not my exact product, but the product I was selling. So kind of as a, hey, listen, don't go into a hyper competitive market. So we like to monitor reviews. We like to take a look and see, are there any changes happening in the market rather than just thinking solely about a product.
Are you, okay, how many ASINs do you currently have?
We're about at 40.
Oh, wow. You guys expanded fast in a year. Is that correct?
Yep. So I took on, we built our core business, and then I expanded to take on a few partners, and we each of my partnerships, we started our own Amazon Seller Central account. And so technically I've got now 3 businesses inside of Amazon and 12 brands, somewhere in there. So, we set the goals of 1 million a month, and then we reverse engineered the goal, saying, how many products do we need to have, and what do they need to be doing on average? in monthly profit. And I'm sure as you've experienced in a lot of us, it's kind of that old 80-20, right? 20% of your products will do really, really well and 80% won't. So we've we've noticed that, and so we're really just trying to go aggressive and not over order, but order enough to sample the market to be able to give it a good shot, and then let the market determine whether or not we've got a winner.
Let me slow you down. Okay, so
Sorry, I can talk about this stuff all day, man.
no, I know. Me too. I'm kind of obsessive about it. So that's a very interesting thing that you've done. You have 3 partners, and you've got each of them doing a separate brand. Is it like an equal split between the partners?
Yeah, so the partners I took on, I have 2 partners and then my core business. And the partners I took on, we're doing a 50-50 split.
And that
Okay. And interestingly enough, we've developed such great relationships with some of our suppliers over in China and Shenzhen that I'm looking to expand to possibly a third partnership. So that would be a 4th account, because I may partner with the supplier in China.
Unlimited inventory.
That's the idea. That is the idea.
I've actually heard it was kind of a scary account of someone doing private label with a manufacturer in China, and the manufacturer just decided to start selling their product on Amazon. I was like, whoa.
Oh, that happens more often than you'd think.
Really?
I've seen that in a number of occasions. You've just really got to do your due diligence when you're working with China. Not to throw the fear of God into anybody here, but I just went through a 3-month ordeal where I had 1,000 units at $41 a unit that were produced. I thought everything was going well, and then my supplier went dark for 2.5 months.
Yeah, that's a
lot of money.
It's a scary story too,
Yeah, and it happens, unfortunately. And I think that to be successful, to get to any place where you are, doing well and the 6-figure plus a month mark, you're going to have hurdles. You're going to have challenges. You're going to have things that naturally almost every seller approaches. It's just a matter of getting past them and being stronger on the other side.
I think with having multiple brands actually diversifies you from the specific manufacturer. Is that the reasoning behind that?
To keep things clean, each one of my brands is a separate. Are you talking seller accounts or brands?
Brands. So with each brand, you're sourcing from different manufacturers just so that,
Exactly.
Apocalypse scenario doesn't play out. It's a scary situation. Like, you put so much effort and energy into your brand, and then all of a sudden your manufacturer feels like the right to take it over. So.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of vertical integration. Are you familiar with that term?
A little bit. What sense do you mean?
So I like to do, when I get into any business, I like to try to do my best over time, of course, but I like to try to control every portion of the business. I want it all to be under one roof, right? So there's a lot of different things that happen inside of an Amazon business. There's a lot of different moving parts. And through this experience, this is kind of the silver lining, right? Of this big issue I had. Now, luckily it's resolved, and I should have those 1,000 units in Dallas here today or tomorrow, which I'm very excited about, because you could imagine what 1,000 units at $41 a pop, not knowing where that is, can be a little stressful.
Then the shipping too. I mean that.
Right.
That's probably going to be another 8,000-10,000, right?
Yo, absolutely. So, long story short, the silver lining to this is that during these 2 months where I had no idea where the product was, I talked to a lot of people. I went to a few great conferences. I just got back from Miami with a Seller Summit with Steve Cho and all the guys out there, Greg Mercer and Scott Volker. And,
was it good?
It was fantastic. Chris Guthrie. So we had a great time, and Jeff Cohen, and we were all just, obviously we learned a lot, and we did a lot. We worked hard and we played hard. Put it that way.
It's awesome.
But, and I met a few people that had a sourcing company. So they were developing a sourcing company whereas they were going out and making connections with people in China and now I had never thought of doing this. I thought up to this point for the entire year that You develop the relationship with the supplier. You need to, that's up to you and your team. Well, if you find a really great sourcing agent, you obviously have to pay the sourcing agent. But they'll go out, they'll do the due diligence, they'll go out to the factories, they'll go out and test the samples. All you need to do is the research and say, hey, listen, I want this cheese grater in my SKU line. I need samples. Please go out, do the negotiation on price, get the best samples, inspect the factories, talk to the people. They handle that relationship for you. So I made a few more relationships in that 2-month period where my 1,000 units were just floating in the ether. And now it looks like we'll be developing a sourcing company as well. So that's just another piece of the puzzle, right?
Wait,
you need.
did you say you're developing a sourcing company?
Yeah, that's the
Very
plan.
cool.
That is the plan. So we're going to use it. At first, it's just going to be an internal use. Everything I do that I've ever brought to the public starts from a need inside of my own businesses.
Agreed.
Yeah, and so that'll just be for internal use at first, and provided I've got a little bit of scale there and time, and I'm not overwhelming my staff inside of the sourcing company, then I will bring it to the public. But I really don't have any plans for that yet.
So in regards to the sourcing company, you're going to have people in China and all other sourcing locations that do all of this stuff for a fee, and you can have sellers reach out to you and find products that way. Correct?
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's what I mean by vertical integration, by owning and controlling, every piece of the puzzle. You can guarantee, you can't ever guarantee success, but you can come as close to guaranteeing success if you go a little bit more creative or deeper. So I've done that with, and so now you've heard I partner with the supplier. I've got the sourcing company being developed. I've also partnered with an IP attorney, so he handles all that stuff for me.
Awesome.
And whenever we get hijackers, and I've partnered with a freight forwarding company. So I'm bringing everybody under one roof. Not to mention I've partnered with, the world's best Amazon pay-per-click guy, right, Brian Johnson. So, it's.
I actually messaged him one time. I forgot what the message. Yeah, we had a little conversation.
Yeah.
I think
so
he's the founder of
obviously,
PDC
you
Scope.
saw we launched Sponsored Products Academy. That was fun. We just closed the doors yesterday, so if you're listening to this in the future, we may reopen it at some point. But
Okay, so let me
yeah.
pivot slightly.
Sure.
So with a partner with the supplier, what benefits comes with that? Like in
Well,
terms of your arrangement?
It's profit sharing. So here's the thing: we've been testing it out with small shipments to Amazon. We haven't gone extremely aggressive yet, but provided we wanted to, then I would avoid the inventory cost. Right, so
Yep.
it's almost like drop shipping.
That's actually a pretty unique trick.
It's a new one.
Yeah,
and I
that
haven't
that
heard
is
of
definitely a
anybody
new
doing
one. There's definitely a huge line of. Do you have a chance to meet the supplier, or is this just a long
It's
distance
funny.
relationship?
It's just I have not met him in person. We've talked on Skype a lot. We just I think it's about just being kind. I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's not hard to be nice or just be cool, and I think a lot of people forget that. And so when you are dealing with a supplier, a lot of the time, and I've seen students of mine and people in my communities, they're just they're railroading their suppliers on the first contact. And a lot of people don't understand, but the Chinese culture is the foundation is respect. The foundation is being polite, having good manners, and a lot of the time when you go in there and you just start hammering on the heads of these salespeople inside of the factories and the supplying companies, that turns them off. I mean, they're used to it because they deal with quite a few Americans, but if you go in and you're very respectful and just a human, and you keep that in mind, you can develop these fantastic relationships and you'll get better pricing. So I did that with my supplier, and I tried to do it with all of them, but
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Actually,
it's-
the other day we were like, she was sending me a team of their basketball team within their company.
Oh, cool.
I sent them some pictures back, and they're like, "Oh, you look good." I was like, "What?" So like,
I know.
it's just always interesting. A lot of the cultural differences between Americans and the Chinese is that I feel like they're a lot more humble and quiet. Did you notice that?
Yeah, humility is a very, very big part of their culture. My supplier that I'm potentially partnering with, he says, I don't know marketing. And I said, well, it's interesting because we can run, focus groups and control groups and see, what they think. And he says they don't work in China. And I asked him why. And he said, because everybody in the control or the focus group, say you've got a focus group of 10 people weighing in on one product, everybody waits for the eldest to make his opinion or her opinion. And then
Wow.
they just agree.
Interesting.
So marketing is a much more foreign concept, I think, over there.
Yeah.
And a lot of people go, well, if they're so good at producing the product, why don't they market it themselves? Well, that's a big part of the reason, right? They're not good at marketing. And then also it's just a matter of establishing relationships and having some patience too. And I think also making a purchase at a higher price point is not a bad idea in the beginning. I've got a few negotiation hacks I can share with you guys if you want me
Yeah,
to do
let's do
that.
it. Let's talk about it.
So first things first, be cool, right? That's the first secret. Be cool with your people. Just be a human because they're human too. Then, go ahead and get the price on. We like to send off an attachment. So, of course, like a lot of people, we go through Alibaba. We send off an attachment with our initial contact email, and that's a spreadsheet. We want them to fill it out. So it's got maybe 10 or 11 fields they need to fill out, and that's a qualification test for them. So your name, your company link, your company Alibaba link, your Skype name, and the price per unit at 250, 500, 1,000, 5,000. MOQ for OEM, which means, custom packaging, what's our minimum order quantity, as well as a couple of other things, right? So once they fill that out, we get it back. Now, a lot of them don't fill it out, and that kind of immediately removes them from our frame of reference, right? We don't want to work with people that don't have the time to fill out a sheet with us. Does that make sense? So go ahead.
One of the things I've heard though that I actually like this idea a lot just because it automates the whole process and just makes it move a lot faster. The only issue is I've heard that a lot of these suppliers are getting bombarded with a ton of sellers nowadays, that if they see this sheet, it might turn them away just because,
Well, nonetheless, I still don't want to work with them.
No, yeah.
Right?
True.
I mean, if they're too busy to work with me, then why the hell would I want to work with them?
Yep.
That makes sense, right?
Yep.
So anyway, so we'll send that to them, and then and we get it back, and we actually do get a good response rate on that. Just so you know, we do get quite a few people that fill it out, and they take their time and they do it the right way. So now, when we have that sheet back, part of what we ask them to do is to give us a total per unit price with shipping, because most of our suppliers have their own freight forwarding companies that they have established relationships with, or they have one of their own that they've developed internally. The larger ones sometimes do. Most of the time they don't. So if they send us this per unit cost at 250, 500, 1,000, and 5,000 for the first buy, that should include shipping. And so that breaks it down to a per unit cost. So let's just, for the sake of conversation, say it's $10 per unit with shipping included on that price point. So everything landed cost is $10. We'll move forward with them. A lot of the times what I've found is that these suppliers will pad the shipping costs as well. So if their shipping cost is $1,000, they'll probably charge you $2,000 or $3,000. So I've gone out and I've established a really good relationship and a partnership with a freight forwarding company. I've already done that. Now, I don't tell them this, right? Now, 99.9% of the time, my costs are much lower than the costs that I get from the factory. So I'll say, okay, great. I agree to this cost. Let's move forward. And before I do, I'm going to actually use my own freight forwarding company. So what happens is I pull their portion, so that from the $10, if it's $3 for shipping or $4 for shipping, I remove that, and then I'll say, okay, good. So my unit cost, by simple subtraction, should be $6. And I'll supply my own freight forwarder. A lot of the time, you're removing that extra padding from their freight forwarding. So I wait until the end to say, okay, well, I have my own guys, so we're just going to use them. But now I've got the price per unit. And it would be hard for them to go back and say, well, now we have to inflate the price of the unit because we're not shipping. So that hasn't happened. And that's a way to, on the initial onset, to get a much better price and to avoid artificial inflation.
That's actually a good secret. So what Brian was saying was that he asked for the shipping cost and then from their freight forwarders, but then switches out their freight forwarder with his freight forwarder so he can get the very bare minimum price, because usually the Chinese will increase the cost of shipping to make more money, pretty much. So,
right.
Very
They
cool.
definitely pad the costs. So once you remove that, if you already have a really good relationship with the supplier, you're being nice, right? You're being cool, and you've got a relationship with the freight forwarder. When you can, you just pull. It's kind of like pulling the rug out a little bit, but that's business. And you say, hey, listen, we're going to implant our own freight forwarding company. It works really well, and you get a much better price.
It's awesome. Initially, I was using my manufacturer to do the shipping as well, and this was just when I was first starting. And I noticed that the shipping of my freight forwarder now is about 1/3 the cost of the shipping that they gave. So this technique definitely works, even if you don't do it intentionally.
Right. Yeah, that's for sure. So,
What-
like we said earlier, you've got a lot of moving pieces, and you need to bring a lot of relationships under one roof, and that's really what I've tried to do.
Let's pivot slightly and let's talk about how you push and market products, because it seems like that's one of your strengths, being coming
Sure.
from your background as a web agency.
Oh yeah.
What type of techniques do you use and to sell more products and push them out?
Well, I mean, I can't give you the secret sauce. I can't tell you everything, right? But I'll give you a little bit.
Tell me everything.
The secret sauce.
Yeah.
So, here's one thing that I think, I'll share with you that may not have been repeated all over the world. I try to keep it unique a little. We can talk about, internal SEO strategies, but everyone talks about that. I like to talk about driving traffic from outside of Amazon to Amazon.
Agreed, yeah.
I think go ahead.
That's actually what I was trying to get at, because there's a lot of strategies about internal Amazon traffic, but I find a lot of power coming from outside, and I've seen my sales just start to skyrocket as I build more networks to drive more
Absolutely.
traffic.
So there are a lot of nuances that go into this in terms of tracking and understanding the session unit sessions and conversion rate, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to get too detailed on that. If you guys want to hear more about it, hit me up. That's fine. I'll talk to you about it later. But for the sake of this conversation, I've noticed that Amazon rewards you for traffic that comes into Amazon from outside of Amazon that lands on your page, your listing page. And there's a lot of really, really great, very easy, and best of all, free ways to do that. Now you can start doing, you can start doing Facebook ads or AdWords or what have you, paid advertising if you want, but I wouldn't recommend you start there. One of the best ways I've found to drive traffic to your listing and get, more than that, to build branding, is to go out to YouTube. And I don't know if anyone has ever done this, but if you go out and you search your main keyword on YouTube or something that's relevant, just use common sense. What would your audience base or your avatar be looking for? So you go out to YouTube and type it in, and let's go back to the cheese grater, right? Then you go out and may want to find some foodies or some chefs or some real high subscriber chefs, let's say. So you go out there and you can find a handful of them. You go to their profile, and there's actually, you can click through a few places. There are, a lot of the times they leave their email there, all of their social networks. Now, if their email is there, most of the time they're open to receiving products and doing what we call, quote unquote, unboxing reviews, where they'll test your product and review your product for you. So that's really fun. We've done that to a lot of success. We've had people make these incredible videos of our products, 10-minute, 15-minute videos, as well as post them on our product page in the review section, which is fantastic. I mean, that's easy for them to do. So you go out and you do that, and you'll drive a ton of traffic to your listing, and you just have to simply request that they put your Amazon link in their listing. If they're really savvy and they're Amazon affiliates, they will use an affiliate link, which is totally cool by me, as long as they're driving traffic to my listing. And here's kind of a pro tip. If you can, and if they're a really fantastic reviewer out there, I mean, I'm talking the million plus subscriber mark. We've had people with 10 million review our products, and we subsequently sold out much faster, right?
Yeah.
Drove a ton of traffic to our listing. And he's continually reviewing our products every time we relaunch or launch a new SKU, because he digs the brand, which is great, right? We've made a relationship there, and kind of going back to making relationships, that's super important. But here's a pro tip, right? If you send, let's say you find a great unboxer with a big audience, you can make the offer and say, hey, listen, why don't we send you a bunch of these? Keep some for yourself, use them as gifts, or better yet, do a fun giveaway. You can do a contest for your audience. And so what happens is any contest where you're giving away free stuff to a huge audience is going to garner a lot of traffic, aka views, aka people buying your product. So if, let's say you give 10 to this unboxer on YouTube to do a big contest giveaway, they'll put more effort into it. They'll make multiple videos about it sometimes. And you'll get a lot more views. We've seen the views on the videos that the unboxers are doing contests with our products go up by 10 times or 20 times. So we're talking 100,000 views, 200,000
Holy
views.
cow, yeah. So I guess my question is, are you just giving them your product and like no money I'm not, are you,
we have yet to pay a YouTube unboxer. Now, there are networks that allow you to pay for this.
Yeah.
But I think a little elbow grease gets you a long way.
And are you giving them a discount code and then they buy it from Amazon, or are you just sending them the product directly?
We've done both. Okay. So we see a higher success rate when we just send the product directly and don't ask them to buy. But we've done both. I think the advantage of giving them a discount code is that you do get the purchase if they put the video up on your product listing in the review section. But either way, it's okay by me. I don't stress the details there. I just want that audience that they have to see it. And let's say you cold approach an unboxer in your niche that has 3 million subscribers. You don't want to make them do something that could potentially result in a no, right? Or having them ignore your request. Make it as easy as possible, right? Hey, we want to send you free stuff. Do you want it? How about this? We'll send you 10 of them, and you do a really fun contest with your audience. What do you think? Works really well.
I think that's a great idea. I could totally see me just giving this to my virtual assistant and, them getting like 20 different unboxers and moving that whole thing fast. So,
and you know what else? I don't know if this is proven or not, but I think it really helps your rankings too if you're driving traffic from offense.
I bet it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually didn't apply this strategy, and I probably should. I've actually been looking to just buying out websites and then using their ad space and then directing ads to my products,
It's not a bad idea.
And it has to be like a related website, at least a page rank 4, and, old, has to have many years of age. And it comes out to be a lot cheaper than PPC on Amazon, because that can add up really fast.
So are you doing that to aggregate the traffic from that site, push it back?
Like a mixture of both. I see it as like a long-term way to just continually send traffic to my shops. So,
okay.
And I guess it's an experimental process right now and seeing how that does, but I think it'll work.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, anything off of Amazon, there are a lot of strategies beyond just the YouTube strategy I've also done a bunch of key influencer outreach to, bloggers. That's a real old school SEO technique, which is guest blogging, et cetera, et cetera. So we do a lot of guest blogging for our products. On the paid side, we're doing a lot of really interesting things there. We're building some very, very cool funnels right now. So
I feel like you have like 20 different external funnels coming in.
I mean, I have a lot of funnels. I'm a huge ClickFunnels user, proponent, junkie. So I really like that software.
I think I just heard the podcast with the ClickFunnels founder, and they were pulling in like 40 million a month.
Yeah,
Just
Russell Brunson, he's kicking butt.
Just
And
insane numbers, yeah.
yeah, I'm friendly with Russell. He's definitely been one of my mentors, and
Very
the guy
cool.
is just brilliant.
Yeah, I, that's an insane number. Just seeing 40 million pop in your, and with that type of product, it's a software product, so there's not as much overhead as there's with like an e-commerce physical product business.
Well, I know some of the team personally. I know Russell. I went out to ClickFunnels, the funnel hacking conference last year, and they have grown so fast that their team is going to expand to about 100 people here soon. But still, it's even at 100 people, 40 million a month is there's a lot of profit there. But beyond that, it's just a great software, and how it relates to
Yep.
to Amazon is really interesting. How it relates to off of Amazon, very interesting as well. We're working a lot with our Shopify stores right now, and the power is in the list. That is an old school internet marketing saying that is true to this day and will be true to the end of time.
Yep.
If you have a giant email list and you treat it well, that's a retirement plan. That's guaranteed. You can write your own checks. So, more than just marketing inside and outside of Amazon, we're trying to build our list as
Yep.
well.
I think that's definitely an awesome way to grow the company too. I just came up with like 20 different questions. Let's see which one to ask first.
Sure.
So, okay, okay, let's go back to the guest bloggers part. Are you using like a certain website to garner these type of bloggers?
I'm not. There are a few tools out there that will do this. And believe it or not, I'm developing a tool specifically for Amazon sellers to help with outreach to YouTube and to key influencers and guest blogs. And it's just, it's really a lot. A lot of the focus of this tool is for getting traffic from outside of Amazon to Amazon. And that's the gist of it. And I actually have not announced it publicly yet. So I'm not going to give you the
No, it's okay.
I'm not going to give you the name, but we've been using it internally quite a bit.
Very
And what
cool.
it does is it goes out, it scrapes the interwebs, and it finds a bunch of it
Sweet.
finds related websites. So it finds things that are related to your niche, and it automates the outreach. To a lot of them. It does it on YouTube too, which is,
That is
you
epic.
click a
I'd probably use
button
it,
and does
honestly.
it.
Yeah.
So we're going to bring it to the public here, probably July 1st, maybe somewhere in there. But it's mostly we've been using it internally, but we've been using it to so much success. I've been very hesitant to use it, to bring it to the public, but it's just really good, and I think it's a great opportunity. And plus, I think everyone will love it. So it'll be fun. But yeah, that's how we do it. There are tools out there that will do it though. I think
There's
BuzzStream is the name of one of them that we used to use, as well as a few more. But I think the interface was clunky, and there was just so many things that could be improved. That's a lot of the reason we built one in house here.
I think that makes sense. There's too many questions popping up. In regards to the ClickFunnels conversation, just because this thing just came up in my mind,
Sure.
I think the reason why they're able to grow so fast is anytime you offer a way for people to make a lot of money, such as ClickFunnels, or you give them a lot of value, these type of businesses I see just seem to grow very fast. So I think it also goes back into Amazon private label. If you have a product that just delivers enormous value to the end user, the word will spread faster, word by mouth, and then etc. So
We've gone above and beyond in terms of, and I think you nailed it there, for sure. Delivering value is more important now than ever. I think Gary Vaynerchuk calls it the thank you economy,
yeah,
and it's very, very true. We really try to make our post purchase sequence incredible. So a lot of people use tools out there, and they're sending a few emails. Hey, did you like it? Can you leave a review, please? Right? Who wants that? I very rarely leave a review when I get a sequence that's like, hey, we're a small company and we rely on reviews. Can you please leave us a review? Okay, I feel you, but I'm busy.
yep.
You know what I mean? I'm a small company too, and a lot of people are very busy. Life happens. So what we try to do to aggregate positive reviews, quite a few different strategies, but one of them is to focus on continued value delivery, so that the value doesn't stop when they purchase your product on Amazon for us. So we'll make videos, and that'll be a part of the follow-up sequence. Hey, how are you liking your X product, your blue widget? Here's how you use it. We made you a quick instructional video. Hey, here's an ebook, a free ebook, surprise, free ebook about your product and the niche that this product serves. Right?
Cool,
and
yeah.
by the way, that ebook becomes another marketing tool for your brand. It's all branding, and everything can relate back to other products that you're selling. So we like to co-promote within our continued value delivery and our follow-up sequence.
No, I think that's awesome. I actually didn't even think of doing instructional videos because I think if you actually do that too, those videos gain more views on YouTube and they start to rank better, and then
Sure, absolutely.
more people
Put them on
discover
your
it.
website.
Yeah. So
I think one thing it's a real difficult metric to and I think only Amazon knows this metric. In fact, I know that, but I know from having a marketing agency and knowing human behavior online, that when somebody's on Amazon and they find your product and they like your product, it's hard to tell how many people hop off of Amazon and then Google the name of your brand.
interesting. Yeah.
Right? But there has to be a percentage of people that do that, even if it's only 5% of everyone that sees your product, or 2% or 1%. It doesn't really matter, right? Because if you have a really well-rounded brand outside of Amazon, so you've got a website,
Yep.
you've got YouTube, that thumbnails on the first page of Google. We see that people are just searching our name. When we look at our Google Analytics on our website, people are just searching our name. Now, we haven't done a ton of branding, and that was happening from the beginning. So right when we launched our first product, we launched our website, we saw that happening from the beginning. So that did indicate that people were hopping off of Amazon and then looking at our site, assuming that everyone that Googled, our brand name found us on Amazon. Then we could roughly come up with a metric on how many people, just taking the unit sessions and then looking at our Google Analytics and looking at how many people found us by our brand name and subtracting that. Then you can see how many people jumped right from Amazon to your website. So we like to also round out the brand on our website and our overall brand too. And I think that does increase conversion rates. And by the way, if they click on your link on Google and then follow that back through to Amazon again, then what are you doing? You're sending traffic from off of Amazon to your Amazon listing again. So it becomes a really self-serving circle. It's very nepotistic in that way.
I wonder if there's actually two conversion rates: external conversion rate and internal, within Amazon.
Oh, absolutely. But they're not going to share that.
Yeah, they don't. I don't know of a way that they share it, but I think you think they actually do have that type of metric too.
Oh, of course. Of
Cool.
course they do. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of the algorithm that has not been tested yet, mostly because we don't have enough really fantastic SEOs out there devoting their time to reading the A9 patents and to testing.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, didn't even think of that.
And yeah, I used to do that with Google. I used to read the patents just because I'm a giant nerd. But beyond that, I
That's where all the secret sauce is.
That's the secret sauce.
Yeah.
The secret sauce. But yeah, man. So there's a lot going on, and I really like to focus on internal stuff. But that's I think everyone's talked about that. So whenever I come on a podcast or I go on a guest on somebody's webinar or something like that, I want to bring a new idea, and I want to make people think. And creativity is truly, I think it's one of the only reasons I'm successful, is being creative, more creative than the next guy, and thinking a little bit differently.
Well, going back to what you said, I strongly believe that Brandon is like king in Amazon, and also the fact that you're building your brand outside of Amazon is probably why you're doing so well. Because just Amazon aside, if you have people typing in Google and in YouTube, you have a lot of just organic brand traffic coming in too. So, and I notice, like, if the better your product is and the more value it delivers, you start getting people hashtagging your product. Like, oh, just drinking a coffee, hashtag using this, or,
Oh yeah.
So it's just like very cool. Specifically, like, it's a lot different than the web services businesses, in the sense that people didn't do that as much as like with e-commerce physical businesses.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Another one that we've really gotten hot on recently, but recently I mean the past probably 3 to 6 months, is Instagram. So we really like social as well for a traffic source, not just Google, right?
Yep.
We like social. And so we're doing a lot of social there too. Instagram is one of my favorite right now. You can do a lot regarding what we call shout out marketing. So are you familiar with shout out marketing?
Yep.
So
Yeah,
we
go
do
ahead.
that. We do a lot of that. And for your listeners, shout out marketing is when somebody on Instagram talks about your product, and that's a lot of fun. But that's one thing. The other thing we're doing is we're finding all the top tags in our niche and building an Instagram account and using those tags in the description. And also, here's the trick, right? We also I'm sorry, not the description. In the trick is to use them in your comments. So the first comment section.
I noticed that if you do that in the description, it doesn't allow me to sometimes. Like, if you have like an input, did you notice that?
Yeah, I have. It's a little wonky, and
It's annoying. I think they're actually
ugly.
blocking it too.
Yeah, it looks ugly. So we put them in the comment section. And here's kind of a pro tip for your listeners as well. There is a website called tagsforlikes.com. It's not my website. It's just a decent website. And you could put your niche inside of that website. It's a real basic website. What it will do is it will pop out, I believe, 50 or some odd tags there, and they're all the top tags for your niche.
Yeah, I think
So
they
what
have an app
happens-
too as well.
What's that?
They have an app as well, which allows
do
you.
they?
Yeah,
Oh,
so you can just jump in from that app to Instagram. So
Yeah, they do.
Pretty cool.
Absolutely. So, we've got my small staff handling that, and all the outreach they handle, and all the social updates, and we do contests, and we do giveaways, and we ask people to make funny videos, and they go viral, and we put them on YouTube. And it really is. It's really. I wish you were. I don't want to turn on my camera right now, only because I don't have a shirt on, and I just got back from the gym. So
It's all good.
you don't want to see that. But
you do
I
the
would
morning
show you.
workout.
Oh yeah, mornings are the best. They're the best.
I tried it. I just get because I work out hard, so I get too sore to do anything for the rest of the day. So I just like want to relax. So I try to leave the workout for later.
See, the trick is you've got to be a man. You got to man up. No, I'm just kidding.
Pre-workout mix, you gotta take a lot of it, I guess.
No, I'm just kidding. You just got to get into it, man. You just got to get past that hurdle. It has to become routine. Plus, I have a daughter, a 6-year-old daughter, and her school is on my block. I live in downtown Chicago in a really kind of a cool little cute block, and I walk her to school first thing in the morning. 8 o'clock in the morning, we walk an entire half block. I hold her hand the whole way. I drop her off, and then I walk a whole nother half block to my gym. So,
Cool, yeah.
that's kind of the advantage. That's why I love working from home now. It's a routine, and I'm in it, and it's been great, and I've definitely noticed some gains. But that said, if you could see me, right, you would see that behind me I've got an entire wall in my home office here. I call it Bob, BAWB, my big ass whiteboard. I painted that entire wall with whiteboard paint.
Oh, very cool. See, I don't know if my girlfriend will like that. She actually decorates a lot of the place. I don't know if you can't really see it, but
Okay, nice. Well, it looks just like every other wall, and it's really actually kind of funny because my friends will come over. We'll do like a dinner party, or they'll come over for cocktails or something, And my 6-year-old and her friends are drawing on my wall with markers, and everyone freaks out like, "Oh, do you know Lily's drawing on the wall?" Like,
You
don't
ever
worry
see
about it.
the movie A Beautiful Mind?
Yeah, yeah.
You could be like the guy drawing on windows. I think that's the movie.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's why I did it, man. Because I'm a beautiful mind. What
Just
can I
drawing
say?
math equations everywhere and
Right.
square root
Right.
it.
Well, behind me here. So one of the things, the reason I bring it up is because I've got something that I drew last night for my cousin who moved, by the way, to Bobby. He moved to Chicago, quit his job, real cushy job, 10 years with the government, quit his job to go full-time Amazon. He was part-time Amazon and already doing over 50,000 a month. I kind of mentored him a bit.
Awesome.
And now he's
Good for
going
him.
full-time.
Yeah.
So we fully expect for him to get to that $250,000 a month mark pretty soon. So he was over last night, and what we were doing is what we call our Sundays, quote unquote, and we will set up our plan for the
Mastermind.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's a constant mastermind. I love it. He lives a block away now, but we do our Sundays and we set up our.
How old is he, by the way?
Bobby is just turned 30.
Okay, so he wasn't in the government. I was in the government too, and man, he's just so much waste in the government.
Yeah,
It's good to get out of there.
It was a great job for him. I think he literally could not have gotten fired, is what the way he put it to me. So he had to fire
It's
himself.
impossible. Yeah, I had to quit. So, and they didn't want me to quit. And then they called me 2 weeks later. I was like, all right, we will give you the raise and we'll give you full-time benefit. It was just like so much stuff. I'm like, too late. And
Right.
it was nice to find. I think the hardest thing for me is telling people no, So the hardest thing for me was just to say, I quit,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean,
but-
that's that hurdle, right? You have
Yeah.
to burn the ships, as they say.
Well,
And it's
yeah.
hard. It's kind of goes back to that old saying, right? I don't know if I'm going to date myself here, but have you heard how to? You know how to boil a frog, right?
No idea.
So you put them in a pot of cold water or temperature room water, and you turn it up slowly, and
It's
they
a real
never
thing?
jump out, and eventually they boil.
Is that a real thing?
It's a real thing. Yep, definitely.
I
A real
don't. Do
thing.
you eat frog or something?
Man, frog is delicious.
Is it really?
Southern chicken, baby.
Ah.
But,
I don't know. I see frogs in my backyard all the time. Where I'm in Florida, so
Eat them. Grab those suckers. Eat them. But here's the point, right? We digress. Here's the point. On this whiteboard behind me, I've got something called the media wheel. Okay. And it is, looking and talking here. It is the top. We've got podcasting, blogging, webinars, email, YouTube outreach, and video. So, if you can combine a lot of those tenets, it's kind of the 6 tenets of marketing, right? And creating a brand. You will have created a brand. So to me, it's, we try to do each one of those to create a brand and not just sell stuff on Amazon.
Yep. Agreed.
And if you're doing that, then it also plays in naturally to building your own funnels and your own website and selling outside of Amazon. I'm becoming incredibly interested in that as well recently. And I think that, if anyone listening right now is just getting started on Amazon, focus there. Don't start building out, funnels to your own websites or outside of Amazon until you at least hit that $25,000 a month mark. That's kind of the question I get all the time. So I wanted to preemptively strike on that.
One of the interesting, I know we're a little over time, but just to jump in for a second,
Sure.
I found that it's a lot, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I actually don't deploy the e-commerce shopping cart on my store. I actually make it look like it's a shopping cart, and then I direct them to Amazon because I feel like if I convert more just from that, it'll increase my ranking on Amazon.
Well,
and so-
I understand that you are driving. And so that's a strategy, David, right? You can
it's
drive
yeah.
more traffic to Amazon and hopefully increase your ranking on Amazon. That is a strategy. Another strategy is and the one thing you're kind of missing out on by doing that is the upsell.
True.
So if you were to make the sale on your Shopify store, typically our stores get about a 30% uptake on the upsell. And our upsell is 3 times the price of our initial sale. Or we'll do a lot of things. We'll do the free plus shipping giveaway.
The only thing I'm gonna have to argue with that is, let's say you have 5 sales from your store, but that 5 sales could go into the added BSR value that you'd get if it was sent to Amazon. And then from that BSR gain, you'd probably sell more units per month from that. So the question is, are you making more money on your e-commerce store versus the BSR gain from Amazon? So
Well,
it's kind of like that sacrifice, yeah.
Yeah, you're getting very detailed, and there's definitely benefits to both, right? So
Yeah.
we do both. We actually do
cool.
both, where we have funnels going to Amazon and funnels going to our Shopify stores. Now,
Interesting. Yeah.
take this into consideration. The upsells are one thing, but also the LCV. So what's the lifetime customer value? Right? It's hard to get a lifetime customer value out of somebody that purchases on Amazon because you don't have their email. You do have their Amazon email, and you can continually market to that. But can you market to them directly? Do you know if they're getting them?
Yeah.
There's just there's a lot of
So much stuff to do. Yeah.
A lot of stuff that goes into marketing, man. It's just
I gotta turn these
focus
walls
on the
into
basics.
whiteboards.
I'm telling you,
Need more
get it out of
space.
your head.
I'm a big believer in just like writing down everything and lots of sticky notes everywhere. And I actually do the sticky notes on my monitors. I don't know, you can't really see it from here, but there's 3 monitors. One monitor is just dedicated to stickies now, just because I was killing too many sticky notes. And it's bad for the ecosystem.
I do that. Yeah, I was gonna say, wow, sticky notes. Huh? That's like bringing it back to 1990.
Oh yeah. Well, there's something different about having it written down, and then just seeing it and holding it in your hand, and just But before we end this interview, do you want to promote any type of service that you're doing right now?
Yeah, I really don't have anything to promote. If you guys have, like I said, I will be coming out with that software here in about a month.
Okay.
That will automate a lot of the outreach processes and help you in a lot of fun ways that we didn't even talk about, and a lot of really effective ways.
We're gonna have to get you back on.
I'd love to. Then that will be coming out, and if you guys want to hear more about that, or if you're interested in coaching, or if you're interested in my communities, my best bet for you is just to go out to go out to Facebook. And you can find my community, which is called Ecomazon. It's ECOMAZON. Or my main community, which is Passive and Massive. So you guys can go out to Passive and Massive too. So I've got
It's clicky. I like it.
Yeah, well,
it's good branding. Yeah.
Always looking for passive income and a massive lifestyle. So that's what we're focused on there. And we talk a lot about Amazon. We talk a lot about building funnels. Talk a lot about e-commerce off of Amazon. So Passive and Massive, you guys can check that out. That's a really great community. I think we've got about 3,000 people there and about 6,000 people in e-Comazon. So if you guys want to find me, or hey, just shoot me a friend request on Facebook, Brian Burt.
Okay. Also, before we go, I know we didn't touch on this, but I know you were saying that you wanted to pull in $1 million a month. So I kind of did some of the math. It's 33,000 a day, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but between 15 businesses, that's around 1.5 to 2,000 a day, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's definitely manageable.
Well,
I actually want to.
Manageable is one thing.
It's manageable when you look at it that kind of way, especially if you have 3 business partners managing the marketing for that too as well.
Right.
It seems like you have a lot of assistance. One of the things I didn't actually touch upon was your IG channel, and I get annoyed by doing Instagram. I mean, just because it's a lot, it doesn't allow you to auto post to it. You have to manually do it.
Right. Well, there are certain tools out there that will help you auto post to Instagram.
Really? Is there one you can name?
Yeah, Hootsuite does it.
Really? I didn't. That's the first time I heard of that. I mean, I've heard of Hootsuite, but yeah.
You can hook your Hootsuite up, and then you're good to go.
Oops, one of the dogs wants to go outside. Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show today. Thanks a lot.
Of course.
Brian.
Yeah, it's been fun. And like I said, if you guys want to find me, just go out to Facebook and friend me up. We'll talk.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We're out.
Okay.
See you guys.
Thanks.